The rain was coming down hard that Tuesday evening, turning the sidewalks of Detroit into rivers of dirty water. Maya Johnson stood under the broken awning of the pharmacy, her thin jacket doing little to protect her from the cold wind that cut through the fabric. She clutched her phone in one hand, staring at the screen as if willing the numbers in her bank account to change. They didn't. The balance remained the same, a cruel reminder of her reality, $43.18. Inside her worn backpack, she had carefully folded the prescription her 7-year-old son Marcus needed. The paper felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. The pharmacist had just told her the medication would cost $274. Even with her insurance, which barely covered anything, she would need to pay $190 out of pocket. It might as well have been $1 million. Maya had been working 2 jobs for the past 3 years. During the day, she cleaned offices in the downtown business district, scrubbing toilets and emptying trash cans for people who never looked at her face. At night, she worked at a 24-hour diner, serving coffee and eggs to truckers and night shift workers. She barely slept 4 hours a night, and her body ached constantly. Her hands were rough and cracked from the cleaning chemicals, and her feet hurt so badly that some mornings she could barely stand. But none of that mattered when it came to Marcus. Her baby boy, her everything. The reason she kept pushing forward even when her body begged her to stop. Marcus had been diagnosed with severe asthma when he was 3 years old. Since then, their lives had become a constant cycle of doctor's visits, emergency room trips, and expensive medications. His condition had gotten worse over the past few months, and now he needed a new inhaler, one that actually worked, one that cost more than she made in a week. She stepped back into the pharmacy, water dripping from her hair onto the clean floor. The fluorescent lights were too bright, making her tired eyes hurt. The pharmacist, a middle-aged woman with graying hair and glasses, looked up from her computer screen. Her expression softened when she saw Maya's face. "I'm sorry, honey," the pharmacist said gently. "I wish there was something I could do. Have you tried applying for the patient assistance program? Sometimes the pharmaceutical companies offer help." Maya nodded slowly. "I tried last month. They said I make too much money to qualify." The irony wasn't lost on her. She worked herself to exhaustion at 2 jobs, and still made too much to get help but too little to actually afford the medicine her son desperately needed. "What about a generic version?" the pharmacist suggested, though her tone indicated she already knew the answer. "The doctor said Marcus needs this specific one. The generic doesn't work for him anymore. We tried it, and he ended up in the hospital." Maya's voice cracked slightly. She cleared her throat, fighting to maintain her composure. She had learned a long time ago that crying in public didn't solve problems. It just made people uncomfortable. The pharmacist nodded sympathetically. She had seen this scenario play out countless times. Good people, hardworking people, forced to choose between medicine and rent, between food and prescriptions. "I can hold it for you for 48 hours. If you can come up with the money by Thursday, it'll be here waiting." 48 hours. Maya did the math in her head. Her paycheck from the cleaning company wouldn't come until Friday, and even then, it was already spoken for. Rent was due, the electricity bill was overdue, and she owed her neighbor Mrs. Patterson $60 for watching Marcus after school. She had no family to borrow from. Her mother had passed away 2 years ago, and her father had never been in the picture. Her sister lived in California and had her own struggles with 3 kids and a husband who'd been laid off. "Thank you," Maya whispered, though she had no idea where she would find the money. She turned to leave, her vision blurring with tears she refused to let fall. As she pushed through the pharmacy door, the cold air hit her face like a slap. The rain had gotten heavier, and the sky was dark despite it only being 6 in the evening. She had 2 hours before her shift at the diner started, just enough time to get home, check on Marcus, change into her uniform, and catch the bus back downtown. She started walking, not bothering to open her umbrella. It was broken anyway, held together with duct tape that no longer stuck. The rain soaked through her jacket within minutes, but she barely noticed. Her mind was racing, calculating and recalculating, trying to figure out a solution that didn't exist. Maybe she could pick up an extra shift. Maybe someone at the diner would lend her money. Maybe there was a church program she hadn't tried yet. The bus stop was 3 blocks away. As she walked, She passed by the windows of restaurants where families sat together, warm and dry, eating meals that cost more than her daily food budget. She passed by a toy store with a bright display in the window, stuffed animals, and games that Marcus would love, but would never get. She passed by people hurrying home from work, their nice coats and leather shoes a world away from her secondhand everything. Maya was so lost in her thoughts that she didn't notice the black luxury car that had slowed down beside her until she heard a window rolling down. "Excuse me, miss?" A man's voice, deep and polite. She kept walking, keeping her eyes straight ahead. Detroit had taught her to be wary of strangers in cars, especially in this neighborhood after dark. "Please, I'm not trying to bother you," the voice continued. "I was in the pharmacy just now. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation." That made Maya stop. She turned to look at the car, squinting through the rain. The vehicle was sleek and expensive, the kind she had only seen in movies or driven by rich people in the business district. The back window was down, and a man sat in the leather seat, looking at her with an expression that seemed genuinely concerned. He was older, probably in his 60s, with gray hair and dark skin. He wore a suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent, and his watch caught the streetlight in a way that suggested it was very expensive. But it was his eyes that struck her. They were kind, crinkled at the corners, and held none of the judgment she had learned to expect from wealthy people. "I don't need your pity," Maya said, her voice sharper than she intended. She had learned that pride was sometimes the only thing poverty couldn't take from you. "I'm not offering pity," the man replied calmly. "I'm offering help. There's a difference. I don't take charity either," Maya continued, though her voice wavered slightly. She wanted to walk away, to maintain her dignity, but something kept her feet planted on that wet sidewalk. "It's not charity," the man said. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a business card, holding it out the window. "My name is David Sterling. I own several businesses here in Detroit. I was in that pharmacy picking up medication for my own granddaughter when I heard you talking to the pharmacist." Maya didn't take the card. "So you heard I'm broke. Congratulations. You won a medal for being rich enough to afford medicine." David didn't flinch at her anger. Instead, he smiled slightly, as if he understood exactly where it was coming from. "I want to pay for your son's medication. And before you say no, let me tell you a story." "I don't have time for stories," Maya said. But she didn't walk away. 35 years ago, David began, his eyes growing distant with memory. "I was exactly where you are. I had a daughter, my Jasmine, and she got very sick. I was working construction, making barely enough to keep a roof over our heads. When the doctor told me she needed surgery that would cost thousands of dollars I didn't have, I broke down. I cried right there in the hospital hallway, a grown man sobbing because I couldn't save my baby girl." Maya felt her chest tighten. She knew that feeling, the absolute helplessness of not being able to provide for your child. "A stranger saw me that day," David continued. "A businessman who happened to be visiting someone in the hospital. He asked what was wrong, and I told him, angry and embarrassed, just like you are now. And you know what he did? He paid for the entire surgery. Every penny. He saved my daughter's life." "Why would he do that?" Maya asked quietly. "I asked him the same thing," David said. "He told me that someone had once helped him when he needed it most, and he was simply passing it forward. He said that one day, when I had the means, I should do the same for someone else." The rain continued to fall, but Maya felt frozen in place, listening. "My daughter survived because of that man's kindness," David said, his voice thick with emotion. "She grew up, went to college, became a nurse. She has 2 beautiful children now. All because a stranger decided that helping someone was more important than walking by. And you've been waiting 35 years to pay it back?" Maya asked, skepticism still present in her voice, but less sharp now. "Not exactly," David said. "I've been paying it forward for the past 20 years, ever since my businesses became successful. I've helped hundreds of families in situations like yours. I do it quietly, without fanfare, because that's not why I do it. I do it because I remember what it felt like to be helpless, to be unable to save my child. I do it because someone gave me a chance, and it changed everything." Maya felt the tears she had been holding back finally start to fall, mixing with the rain on her face. "I don't know what to say." "Don't say anything yet," David replied. "Just get in the car. Let me drive you back to that pharmacy, and let me pay for your son's medicine. After that, if you never want to see me again, that's fine. But at least your boy will have what he needs." Every instinct Maya had developed over years of struggle told her not to trust this, that there had to be a catch, that rich people didn't just help poor people out of the kindness of their hearts. But as she stood there in the rain, exhausted and desperate, she thought about Marcus waiting at home. Marcus, who had been breathing with difficulty for weeks now. Marcus, who deserved a mother who put his health above her pride. "Okay," she whispered. The driver got out and opened the door for her. She hesitated for just a moment before climbing into the back seat next to David. The car was warm and dry, the leather seats soft beneath her. It felt wrong somehow, being in such luxury when her whole life was held together with duct tape and prayers. They drove in silence back to the pharmacy. Maya kept her hands folded in her lap, acutely aware of how out of place she looked in this expensive car with her wet clothes and worn shoes. But David didn't seem to notice or care. He simply looked out the window at the rain, a gentle expression on his face. When they arrived at the pharmacy, David got out first and held the door for her. Together, they walked back into the bright fluorescent lights. The pharmacist looked up in surprise when she saw Maya return, and her eyes widened even more when she saw David Sterling with her. "We're here for Marcus Johnson's prescription," David said, pulling out a black credit card. The one that was being held. The pharmacist nodded quickly, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "Yes, of course, Mr. Sterling. I'll get that ready right away." Maya watched in a daze as the transaction went through, as the pharmacist packaged the medication, as David handed it to her with a warm smile. It felt surreal, like she was watching it happen to someone else. "Thank you," Maya managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you so much. I'll pay you back. I don't know how or when, but I will." David shook his head gently. "That's not how this works. You don't pay me back. You pay it forward. When you're able, when life has taken you to a better place, you help someone else who needs it. That's all I ask." They walked back to the car, and the driver took them to Maya's apartment building in the old neighborhood on the east side. The building was run down, with broken windows on the first floor and graffiti on the walls, but it was home. It was what she could afford. As she started to get out, David stopped her. "Wait," he said. He pulled out that business card again, along with a piece of paper and a pen. He wrote something down and handed both to her. "This is my personal number. If you need anything else, any help at all, you call me. And this," he pointed to what he had written on the paper, "is the name of a woman who runs a program helping single mothers find better employment. I've already called her and told her about you. She's expecting you to reach out." Maya looked at the paper, then back at David. "Why are you doing all this? You don't even know me." "Because 35 years ago, someone did it for me," David said simply. "And because I see in you what that man must have seen in me, a parent who would do anything for their child, someone who just needs a chance. Besides," he added with a kind smile, "I have a feeling you're going to do great things, Maya Johnson. You're a fighter. You just need someone in your corner." Maya clutched the medicine bag and the paper to her chest. "I don't know what to say except thank you. You saved my son tonight. Go take care of your boy," David said warmly. "And remember, call that number. Don't let pride get in the way of opportunities." Maya nodded and got out of the car. She watched as the luxury vehicle drove away, its red taillights disappearing into the rainy night. Then she turned and ran up the 3 flights of stairs to her apartment, taking them 2 at a time despite her exhaustion. Mrs. Patterson opened the door before Maya could knock. "I heard you coming up the stairs like a stampede," the older woman said with a smile. "Marcus is on the couch watching cartoons. His breathing didn't sound too good this evening." Maya rushed past her into the small living room. Marcus looked up from the television, his small face breaking into a smile when he saw his mother. But Maya could hear the wheeze in his breathing, the struggle with each inhale. "Mama, you're all wet." "I know, baby. But Mama's got your medicine. The new medicine that's going to make you feel so much better." Maya knelt beside the couch and opened the pharmacy bag with shaking hands. She read the instructions carefully, then administered the first dose to Marcus. Within minutes, she could hear his breathing become easier. The tight, wheezing sound began to fade, replaced by deeper, fuller breaths. Marcus's shoulders relaxed, and the tension in his small face eased. "That feels better, Mama," he said, leaning against her. The next morning came too quickly, as it always did. Maya's alarm went off at 5:30, pulling her from a deep sleep. For a moment, she forgot about the previous night, forgot about the rain and the pharmacy and the man in the expensive car. Then, she saw the medication sitting on her nightstand, and it all came flooding back. She got up quietly, careful not to wake Marcus, and went through her morning routine. Shower, coffee, pack lunch for both of them. She gave Marcus his morning dose of medicine before waking him for school, and, again, she marveled at how much better he breathed. The difference was like night and day. "Mama, I feel good today," Marcus said as she helped him into his jacket. His eyes were brighter, more alert. He wasn't struggling with every breath like he had been for weeks. "I'm so glad, baby," Maya said, hugging him tight. "You're going to have a great day at school." She dropped Marcus off at the elementary school 3 blocks from their apartment, watching as he ran to join his friends on the playground. He was laughing, playing, moving like a normal 7-year-old instead of the sick, tired boy he had been recently. Maya felt her throat tighten with emotion. This was what David Sterling had given them. Not just medicine, but normalcy, the chance for her son to be a child. After work at the cleaning company, Maya didn't go straight home. Instead, she took the bus to the library downtown. The paper David had given her was folded carefully in her purse, and she pulled it out as she sat at one of the public computers. The name on the paper was Patricia Williams, and the organization was called New Horizons Career Development. Maya typed the name into the search engine and found the website. It was a nonprofit that helped people transition into better careers through training, education assistance, and job placement. Maya had never heard of it before, but then, again, she had never really had time to look for programs like this. She was too busy working, too busy surviving. She picked up her phone and stared at the number David had written down. Her finger hovered over the call button for several long seconds. Pride and shame battled inside her. She had always handled things on her own, always figured it out somehow. Accepting help felt like admitting defeat, like announcing to the world that she couldn't take care of her own child. But then, she thought about Marcus, about his easy breathing this morning, about the smile on his face. Sometimes strength wasn't about doing everything alone. Sometimes it was about being smart enough to accept help when it was offered. She pressed the call button. "New Horizons, this is Patricia Williams speaking," a warm voice answered. "Hi, my name is Maya Johnson. David Sterling gave me your number. He said you might be able to help me." There was a pause. Then, the woman's voice became even warmer. "Maya, yes, David called me yesterday evening. I've been hoping you would reach out. Can you come in this week for an assessment? I'd love to sit down and talk about your goals and what we can do to help you achieve them." Maya's schedule was tight, but she found a way to make it work. They scheduled an appointment for Thursday afternoon, right between her day and night shifts. Over the next few days, Maya found herself thinking constantly about the meeting. What would Patricia ask her? What did Maya even want? She had been in survival mode for so long that she had stopped thinking about actual goals, actual dreams. She just focused on getting through each day, each week, each month. Thursday afternoon arrived, and Maya walked into the New Horizons office feeling nervous and out of place. The office was in a renovated building in Midtown, bright and modern with colorful chairs in the waiting area and motivational posters on the walls. A young woman at the front desk greeted her warmly and directed her to Patricia's office. Patricia Williams was a black woman in her 50s with natural gray hair and a kind, professional demeanor. She stood up when Maya entered and shook her hand firmly. "Maya, it's wonderful to meet you. Please have a seat." Maya sat in the comfortable chair across from Patricia's desk, her hands folded tightly in her lap. "First, let me say that David Sterling has told me a little about your situation, but I want to hear from you," Patricia said. "Tell me about yourself. What are you doing now, and where would you like to be?" Maya started talking, slowly at first, then faster as the words poured out. She told Patricia about her 2 jobs, about the long hours and the exhaustion, about barely making enough to survive. She told her about Marcus and his asthma, about the constant worry of medical bills. She talked about her mother, who had raised her to be strong and independent, and how she felt like she was failing at both. Patricia listened without interrupting, taking notes occasionally, but mostly just giving Maya her full attention. When Maya finally finished, Patricia leaned back in her chair and smiled. "Do you know what I hear when I listen to you talk?" Patricia asked. "I hear an incredibly strong, dedicated, hardworking woman who has been doing everything right but hasn't had access to the right opportunities. You're not failing, Maya. The system has been failing you." Maya felt tears prick at her eyes. She had been blaming herself for so long, thinking that if she just worked harder, if she just did more, things would get better. "Here's what I want to propose," Patricia continued. "We have a program specifically designed for people like you. It's a 6-month intensive training program in healthcare administration. You would attend classes 2 evenings a week and Saturdays. We also provide childcare during class times, so Marcus would be taken care of. Upon completion, we help place graduates in entry-level positions at hospitals and medical facilities throughout the city. These jobs typically start at double what you're making now, with full benefits including health insurance." Maya stared at her. It sounded too good to be true. "What's the catch?" Patricia laughed. "No catch. Well, except that you have to commit to it. The program is demanding. You'll be working your current jobs and taking classes. It won't be easy. But if you're willing to put in the work, we're willing to invest in you." "I've been working 2 jobs for 3 years, Maya said quietly. "I think I can handle demanding." "I believe you can," Patricia said. She slid a folder across the desk. "This has all the information about the program. Look it over, and if you're interested, we start a new session in 2 weeks." Maya took the folder, holding it carefully as if it might disappear. "Can I ask you something? Why does David Sterling support this program?" "Patricia, what's his connection to all this?" Patricia's expression softened. "David's daughter, Jasmine, the one whose life was saved by that businessman, she died 5 years ago. Breast cancer. It was devastating for David. After she passed, he decided to dedicate his life to helping families like his own had been helped. He funds this program entirely out of his own pocket. He doesn't want recognition or publicity. He just wants to make a difference." Maya felt her heart break for David, for the pain he must carry. Now his kindness made even more sense. He wasn't just paying forward an old debt. He was honoring his daughter's memory. "I'll do it," Maya said firmly. "I don't need to think about it. When do I start?" Patricia smiled broadly. "That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. Let's get you registered." The next 2 weeks passed in a blur. Maya met with a counselor at New Horizons who helped her create a budget and showed her how to apply for additional resources she hadn't known existed. She learned that Marcus qualified for a program that would help with his medical expenses, taking some of the financial pressure off her shoulders. Maya also did something she had been avoiding for months. She gave her notice at the diner. It was terrifying, losing one of her income sources, but the counselor had shown her that with the resources they were connecting her to and, with careful budgeting, she could make it work on just her daytime job while she completed the training program. The night of her first class, Maya was so nervous she thought she might be sick. She hadn't been in a classroom in over 10 years, since before Marcus was born. What if she couldn't keep up? What if she failed? She dropped Marcus off at the child care center at New Horizons, giving him extra hugs and kisses. "Mama, I'm fine," Marcus said, laughing and squirming away. "Go learn stuff." The classroom had about 20 other students, mostly women, mostly mothers, all with similar stories of struggle and survival. The instructor, a former hospital administrator named James Chun, started the class with a simple question. "Why are you here?" One by one, people answered. "To provide better for my kids. To have health insurance. To stop living paycheck to paycheck. To have a career, not just a job." By the time it was Maya's turn, she felt a kinship with every person in that room. "I'm here because a stranger showed me kindness when I needed it most," Maya said. "And I want to be in a position someday where I can do the same for someone else." James nodded approvingly. "Then, you're here for the right reason." The class was challenging, covering medical terminology, healthcare systems, insurance coding, and office management. Maya's brain hurt by the end of the first night, but it was a good hurt. She was learning, growing, becoming more than she had been. She developed a routine. Work during the day, pick up Marcus, help him with homework, eat dinner together, then drop him at the child care center, and attend class. On Saturdays, they would go to class together, and Marcus would play with the other kids while Maya studied. It was exhausting, but it was different from the exhaustion of working two dead-end jobs. This exhaustion had purpose. 6 weeks into the program, Maya's phone rang at work. It was a number she didn't recognize, but something made her answer. Maya? This is David Sterling. How are you doing? Maya was so surprised she nearly dropped her phone. She stepped into the hallway of the office building she was cleaning. Mr. Sterling, I'm doing well. Really well, actually. Thank you so much for everything you've done. I heard from Patricia that you're excelling in the program, David said, and Maya could hear the smile in his voice. I'm proud of you. Those simple words meant more to Maya than she could express. I wanted to call and thank you properly, but I wasn't sure if I should. I didn't want to bother you. You could never be a bother, David said warmly. Actually, I'm calling because I have a proposition for you. Would you be willing to meet me for coffee this Saturday? I know you have class, but maybe before or after. Maya agreed immediately, curiosity overwhelming her. They arranged to meet at a coffee shop near the New Horizons office. That Saturday, Maya dropped Marcus at childcare early and walked to the coffee shop. David was already there, sitting at a corner table with 2 cups of coffee. He stood when he saw her, that same kind smile on his face. You look different, he said as they sat down. Lighter somehow. Maya realized he was right. She did feel lighter. The constant panic that had been her companion for years had eased. She still had struggles, still had bills to pay and worries to manage. But she also had hope now. Real, tangible hope. I wanted to update you on something, David said, pushing one of the coffee cups toward her. Remember when I told you about the businessman who helped my family? His name was Robert Chun. He passed away about 10 years ago, but before he died, he created a foundation. I've been working with that foundation, and we've decided to expand our programs. That's wonderful, Maya said, genuinely happy but unsure why he was telling her this. We're creating a scholarship fund, David continued, for single parents who want to pursue higher education after completing programs like the one you're in. Associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees, even master's programs. Full tuition, plus stipends for living expenses and childcare. Maya's eyes widened. That's incredible. That will change so many lives. We want you to be one of the first recipients, David said simply. Maya froze, sure she had misheard. What? You heard me correctly, David said, his eyes twinkling. Patricia tells me you're at the top of your class. Your instructors say you have a natural aptitude for healthcare administration. We want to invest in your education. After you complete the program at New Horizons and get some work experience, we would like to fund your bachelor's degree in healthcare administration. Maya couldn't speak. She tried, but no words came out. Tears streamed down her face, and she didn't even try to stop them. I don't understand, she finally managed. Why me? Why would you do this? David reached across the table and gently placed his hand over hers. Because someone did it for me. Because you remind me of myself 35 years ago, working construction and terrified I couldn't provide for my daughter. Because I see in you the same fierce determination that got me through those hard years. And because, Maya, you deserve it. You've been fighting so hard for so long. Let us fight alongside you for a while. I don't know what to say, Maya whispered. Say yes, David replied simply. Say yes. And then, focus on finishing your current program. Get that first job, prove to yourself what you're capable of. And, when you're ready, the scholarship will be waiting. Maya wiped her tears with her free hand. Yes, yes, absolutely yes. Thank you doesn't seem like enough, but thank you. For everything. They talked for another hour. David told her more about his daughter Jasmine, about how she had dedicated her life to nursing, about how proud he had been of her. He showed Maya pictures on his phone, his eyes filling with love and loss. She would have liked you, David said quietly. She had the same strength you do, the same unwillingness to give up. Maya told him about her mother, about growing up poor but loved, about learning to be strong because she had no other choice. They shared stories of struggle and survival, of small victories and crushing defeats. By the end of their conversation, Maya didn't feel like she was talking to a billionaire benefactor. She felt like she was talking to a friend, someone who truly understood what it meant to fight for a better life. As they were getting ready to leave, David pulled out his wallet and handed Maya a card. This is for emergencies only. It's connected to an account I've set up for you. There's $5,000 in it. If Marcus needs something medical, if you have an emergency expense, if something comes up that you can't handle, use this card. Don't hesitate. Don't feel guilty. That's what it's there for. Maya started to protest, but David held up his hand. I know what you're going to say, but think about this. If something happens and you can't handle it, you might have to drop out of the program. You might lose everything you're working toward. This isn't charity, Maya. It's an investment in your future. It's making sure nothing derails the amazing progress you're making. Maya took the card with trembling hands. I promise I'll only use it if I absolutely have to. That's all I ask, David said. He stood and gave her a brief hug. I'm proud of you, Maya. Keep up the excellent work. Maya walked back to class feeling like she was floating. The world suddenly seemed full of possibilities she had never dared to imagine. She thought about Marcus, about the life she could give him now, the opportunities that would be available to him. She thought about her mother, who had worked so hard to raise her right, and wished she could tell her about everything that was happening. That night, after she picked up Marcus and they were back in their small apartment eating dinner, Maya told her son a simplified version of what was happening. Remember the nice man who helped us get your medicine? She asked. Marcus nodded, his mouth full of spaghetti. Well, he's helping Mama go to school, so Mama can get a better job, and we can have a better life. It's going to mean Mama is busy for a while, but it's for us, for our future. Marcus thought about this for a moment. Will we be able to get a bigger apartment? One where I can have my own room? Maya felt her heart squeeze. Marcus had been sleeping on the couch in their one-bedroom apartment for 2 years because she couldn't afford anything bigger. Yes, baby. Someday soon, you'll have your own room. I promise. Okay, Marcus said simply, going back to his spaghetti. In the way of children, he accepted this promise without question, trusting his mother completely. Maya vowed right then that she would make good on every promise, every hope, every dream that was suddenly possible. She would finish the program. She would get a good job. She would continue her education. And someday, when she was stable and successful, she would find a struggling parent in a pharmacy and offer them the same kindness that had been offered to her. 2 weeks before her graduation from the New Horizons program, Maya received a call from the Human Resources Department at Detroit Medical Center. They wanted to interview her for the position in the billing department. She hung up the phone and immediately called Patricia Williams, who let out a whoop of excitement. This is it, Maya. This is exactly what we've been working toward. Patricia helped Maya prepare for the interview, conducting mock interviews and helping her pick out appropriate clothes from the professional wardrobe closet that New Horizons maintained for graduates. The day of the interview, Maya woke up early, made sure Marcus had everything he needed for school, and took extra care getting ready. She arrived at Detroit Medical Center 30 minutes early, using the time to walk around the impressive campus and calm her nerves. The hospital was massive, a collection of modern buildings that represented hope and healing. Maya imagined herself working here, being part of this important place, contributing to the care of others. The interview was with the billing department manager, a sharp-eyed woman named Susan Martinez, and the director of operations, a man named Thomas Reed. They asked her about her experience, her education, and her goals. Maya answered honestly, not hiding her struggles, but framing them as lessons that had made her stronger. I've learned to work efficiently under pressure, Maya said. I've managed multiple responsibilities while maintaining high standards. And I've learned that healthcare isn't just about treating illness. It's about making care accessible and affordable. Working in medical billing, I would be helping families navigate one of the most stressful aspects of healthcare. I understand that stress personally, and I want to help ease it for others. Susan and Thomas exchanged glances, and Maya saw something like approval in their eyes. We have several candidates for this position, Susan said. But I'm going to be honest with you, Maya. Your instructor, James Chun, spoke very highly of you. Your test scores from the program are exceptional. And sitting here talking to you, I can see the passion and dedication you would bring to this role. I'd like to offer you the position. Maya felt the room tilt slightly. Really? You're offering it to me now? Thomas smiled. We know a good candidate when we see one. The position starts the Monday after you graduate from New Horizons. Starting salary is $48,000 a year with full health benefits, dental, vision, retirement plan, and 2 weeks paid vacation. There's room for advancement based on performance. What do you say? $48,000. Maya did the math quickly in her head. That was more than she had made at both her jobs combined. With benefits, with vacation time, with the possibility of moving up. Yes, Maya said, her voice strong despite the tears threatening to spill. Yes, I accept. Thank you so much for this opportunity. They shook hands, and Susan handed her a folder full of paperwork. Welcome to Detroit Medical Center, Maya. We're lucky to have you. Maya somehow made it out of the building before the tears came. She sat in her car in the parking lot and cried, great heaving sobs of relief and joy and disbelief. She had done it. Against all odds, despite every obstacle, she had completely changed her life in just 6 months. She called David Sterling, who answered on the second ring. Maya, how did it go? I got it, Maya said, her voice breaking. I got the job, Mr. Sterling. I start after graduation. That's wonderful. I knew you could do it. David's voice was full of genuine happiness. I want to take you and Marcus out to dinner to celebrate. Are you free Saturday evening? Maya agreed, still in shock. That Saturday, David picked them up in his car, though this time he drove himself rather than having his driver. He took them to a nice family restaurant downtown, where Marcus was fascinated by the aquarium in the waiting area and the fancy menu with pictures. Over dinner, David told Marcus stories about when his own daughter was young, about her stubbornness and her kindness and her dreams of helping people. Marcus listened with wide eyes, clearly charmed by this friendly grandfather figure who treated him with such respect and attention. Your mother is one of the bravest people I've ever met, David told Marcus seriously. She never gave up, even when things were really hard. You should be very proud of her. I am, Marcus said simply. My mama is the best. Maya felt tears prick her eyes again. She seemed to cry at everything these days, but they were happy tears, grateful tears. After dinner, as David drove them home, he brought up the scholarship again. I know you need to focus on your new job for a while, get settled and stable, but I want you to keep that scholarship in mind. When you're ready, probably in a year or so, we'll talk about you starting your bachelor's degree. I still can't believe this is real, Maya said softly. 6 months ago, I was standing in the rain, crying because I couldn't afford medicine for my son. Now I have a career, a future, possibilities I never dreamed of. You had all of this inside you all along, David said. You just needed someone to open the door. You did all the hard work, Maya. Never forget that. Maya's graduation from New Horizons was a small ceremony, but it was one of the proudest moments of her life. Marcus sat in the front row, swinging his legs and grinning at his mother. Patricia presented each graduate with their certificate, and when it was Maya's turn, the entire room erupted in applause. Her classmates knew her story, knew how hard she had worked, and they celebrated her success as if it were their own. David was there too, sitting in the back row with a proud smile on his face. After the ceremony, he pulled Maya aside. I have something for you. He handed her an envelope. Inside was a check for $5,000. What is this? Maya asked, confused. Your emergency fund, David explained. You never used it. Not once in 6 months. That tells me you managed your resources carefully and didn't rely on it as a crutch. I'm proud of you for that. This is yours to use however you see fit. Maybe a security deposit on a bigger apartment? New furniture? A celebration? It's up to you. Maya hugged him tightly. Thank you. For everything. You changed my life. You changed your life, David corrected gently. I just believed in you. The following Monday, Maya started her new job at Detroit Medical Center. She wore one of the professional outfits from New Horizons closet, her hair pulled back neatly, her nerves giving way to excitement. Susan Martinez welcomed her warmly and introduced her to the team. The billing department was busy and complex, but Maya found that she loved it. She loved the detail work, the problem-solving, the feeling that she was helping people navigate the confusing world of medical insurance and hospital bills. She stayed late her first week, learning the systems and processes, determined to prove that they had made the right choice in hiring her. Her coworkers noticed her dedication. By the end of her first month, she had already caught several billing errors that would have cost patients money and had streamlined a process that saved the department hours of work each week. Susan called her into her office. "Maya, you've been here a month, and you're already making a significant impact," Susan said. "I wanted you to know that you're doing an excellent job. Keep this up, and you'll be promoted to senior billing specialist within a year." Maya walked out of that meeting feeling 10 feet tall. She was good at this. She belonged here. She was building something real. With her first paycheck, Maya did something she had been dreaming about for years. She took Marcus to the mall and let him pick out new clothes, a new backpack, and some toys he had been wanting. She bought herself a pair of professional shoes that didn't hurt her feet and a winter coat that actually kept her warm. They went to a real grocery store instead of the dollar store and filled the cart with fresh fruits and vegetables and healthy food. "Mama, are we rich now?" Marcus asked as they loaded the groceries into the car. Maya laughed. "No, baby, we're not rich. But we're okay. We're more than okay. We're going to be just fine." 3 months into her new job, Maya started apartment hunting. Using David's gift as a security deposit, she was able to rent a 2-bedroom apartment in a safer neighborhood with better schools. Marcus got his own room, which he decorated with posters of superheroes and planets. Maya bought a Real bed for herself instead of the second-hand mattress she had been sleeping on for years. The day they moved in, Mrs. Patterson came to visit and brought a houseplant as a gift. "I'm so proud of you, Maya," the older woman said, tears in her eyes. "I knew you'd make it. I couldn't have done it without people like you," Maya said. "You helped me so many times when I couldn't pay you, when I needed someone to watch Marcus at the last minute. Thank you." Maya settled into her new life with a sense of wonder that never quite faded. Every morning, she woke up in her comfortable bed in her safe apartment, made breakfast in her kitchen that had enough space to actually cook, and got ready for a job she loved. Marcus was thriving too. His asthma was well controlled with his medication, and he was doing better in school now that he had his own quiet space to do homework. 6 months into her job, Susan called Maya into her office again. "I know you've only been here half a year, but I'm promoting you to senior billing specialist. You've earned it." The promotion came with a raise and more responsibility. Maya accepted it gratefully and continued to prove herself. She started taking on training responsibilities, helping new hires learn the systems. She volunteered to work on special projects that no one else wanted to tackle. She made herself indispensable. A year after starting at Detroit Medical Center, Maya called David to tell him she was ready to start thinking about her bachelor's degree. They met for coffee again at the same shop where they had met before. "I've been waiting for this call," David said with a smile. "Tell me what you're thinking." "I want to get my degree in healthcare administration," Maya said. "I love what I do, but I want to be able to do more. I want to eventually work in hospital administration, making decisions that affect how healthcare is delivered. I want to be part of making the system better, more accessible, more fair." David nodded approvingly. "That's a wonderful goal. Have you looked at programs?" Maya pulled out a folder full of research she had done. Wayne State University has an excellent program. It's designed for working adults, with classes in the evenings and online. I could complete it in 3 years while working full-time. "Let's make it happen," David said. He pulled out his phone and made a call right there. Within minutes, he had connected Maya with the foundation's education coordinator, who would handle all the details of the scholarship. 2 months later, Maya started her bachelor's degree program. It was challenging, balancing work, school, and raising Marcus, but she had learned how to manage multiple responsibilities. She created a detailed schedule, used every spare moment efficiently, and refused to let herself get overwhelmed. Marcus, now 8 years old and doing well in school himself, understood that his mother was working towards something important. He did his homework without being asked, helped with chores, and was patient when Maya had to study instead of play. He was proud of his mother, and he told everyone at school about how she was going to college. Maya's life had found a rhythm. Work during the day, pick up Marcus, dinner together, homework time, then her own classes, and studying after Marcus went to bed. Weekends were for family time and catching up on schoolwork. It was busy, but it was purposeful. Every day brought her closer to her goals. 2 years into her degree program, something unexpected happened. Susan Martinez announced that she was retiring, and the director of operations, Thomas Reed, asked Maya to apply for the position of billing department manager. Maya was shocked. She didn't even have her bachelor's degree yet. You don't need the degree to do this job, Thomas told her. You need the skills and the leadership ability, and you've proven you have both. Apply for it. Maya did, competing against several other candidates with more experience and more education. But when the interviews were done, Thomas called her into his office. The job is yours if you want it, he said. Your team loves working with you. You've improved our department's efficiency by 30% since you started here. You have a vision for where we can go and the skills to get us there. We need someone like you in leadership. Maya accepted, and at age 32, she became the manager of the billing department at one of Detroit's largest hospitals. The promotion came with another significant raise, bringing her salary to $75,000 a year. She could barely comprehend the journey she had taken from crying in the rain outside a pharmacy to this moment. She called David immediately to share the news. His joy was as genuine as if it had happened to him. I always knew you would do great things, he said. This is just the beginning. Maya finished her bachelor's degree while working as a manager, walking across the stage at graduation with Marcus and David both in the audience, cheering louder than anyone else. She was 34 years old, and she had a degree, a career, and stability she had never imagined possible. But Maya hadn't forgotten what David had told her that rainy night 3 years ago. Pay it forward. Help someone else. She started looking for opportunities to do exactly that. She began mentoring young women in the New Horizons program, sharing her story and offering guidance. She established an emergency fund at the hospital for families who couldn't afford their medical bills, contributing part of her salary each month. She volunteered at Marcus's school, helping families navigate the healthcare system and find resources. One evening, as she was leaving work, Maya saw a young woman sitting on a bench outside the hospital, crying. The woman held a prescription in her hand and a toddler in her lap. Something about the scene struck Maya with powerful familiarity. She approached carefully. "Excuse me, are you okay? Can I help?" The young woman looked up, her eyes red and swollen. "I need to fill this prescription for my daughter, but I can't afford it. I don't know what to do." Maya sat down next to her. "What's your name?" "Jennifer," the woman said quietly. "Jennifer, my name is Maya. 3 years ago, I was sitting outside a pharmacy, crying for the exact same reason. And a man helped me. He changed my life. Now I want to help you. Come with me." Maya took Jennifer inside to the hospital's financial assistance office. She sat with her, helped her fill out forms, called the pharmaceutical company to negotiate a patient assistance program, and personally covered the first month of medication from her emergency fund. Then, she gave Jennifer her card. "I work here in the billing department. If you need help navigating insurance, understanding medical bills, or finding resources, you call me. And when you're in a position to help someone else someday, you pay it forward. Deal?" Jennifer nodded, tears of relief streaming down her face. "Deal. Thank you so much." Maya walked to her car that evening feeling like she had come full circle. She had been the person crying in the rain, and now she was the person offering help. She had become what David had been to her. That weekend, she met David for their regular monthly coffee. She told him about Jennifer, about how natural it had felt to help her, about how right it felt to pay forward the kindness she had received. David smiled, his eyes shining with emotion. "Do you remember what I told you that first night? That I saw in you someone who would do great things? I was right. I couldn't have done any of this without you," Maya said. "You saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself." "That's what I've learned over the years," David said thoughtfully. "Most people aren't failing because they lack ability or dedication. They're failing because they lack opportunity and support. You always had everything you needed inside you. You just needed someone to believe in you and open some doors." "I want to do more," Maya said. "I want to help more people. I've been thinking about maybe starting a foundation someday, something that helps single parents get access to healthcare and education." David reached across the table and took her hand. "Then do it. I'll help you. We can start planning now." Over the next year, Maya and David worked together to establish the Jasmine Sterling Foundation, named after David's daughter. The foundation provided emergency assistance for prescription medications, scholarships for single parents, and support for families dealing with chronic illness. Maya became the foundation's first executive director, a position she took on in addition to her work at the hospital. Marcus, now 11 years old, was involved too. He helped at foundation events, talked to donors about what it meant to need medicine you couldn't afford, and showed people why the work mattered. He had grown into a thoughtful, compassionate young man who understood that they were blessed and had a responsibility to help others. On the 5-year anniversary of the night David had helped her in the pharmacy, Maya organized a special event for the foundation. She invited everyone who had been part of her journey: Patricia Williams, James Chun, Susan Martinez, her former classmates, the family she had helped, and, of course, David Sterling. As she stood at the podium to speak, Maya looked out at the crowd and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. 5 years ago, I was a woman with no hope. I was working 2 jobs and still couldn't afford to save my son's life. I was drowning, and I couldn't see any way out. Then, a stranger showed me kindness. One man decided that helping someone mattered more than walking by. She looked at David, who sat in the front row with tears in his eyes. David Sterling changed my life, not just by paying for a prescription, but by believing in me, by seeing potential where I only saw failure, by offering not just charity, but opportunity and dignity. But here's what I've learned, Maya continued. We all have the power to be that person for someone else. You don't have to be a billionaire to make a difference. You can mentor someone. You can hire someone who's been overlooked. You can show kindness to someone who's struggling. Every act of compassion, no matter how small, ripples outward and changes lives. The crowd applauded, but Maya wasn't finished. This foundation isn't just about me paying back what was given to me. It's about creating a community where we all lift each other up, where no parent has to choose between medicine and rent, where no one has to cry alone in the rain because the system has failed them. After the event, as people mingled and shared their stories, Maya found herself standing with David, watching it all. None of this would exist without you, she said quietly. All of this would exist, David corrected. You would have found a way eventually. You're a survivor, Maya. You would have figured it out. I just made the journey a little easier and a lot faster. Do you ever regret it? Maya asked. Helping me that night? Did you ever think I wouldn't make it, that your investment was wasted? David looked at her seriously. Not for 1 second. From the moment I saw you standing in that rain, fighting to maintain your dignity while your heart was breaking, I knew you were special. You had something that can't be taught. The determination to protect your child no matter what it cost you. That kind of love, that kind of strength, that's what changes the world. Marcus ran up to them, excited about the dessert table he had discovered. As Maya hugged her son, she thought about the journey that had brought them here. From that desperate night outside the pharmacy to this moment, surrounded by people who had helped her and people she had helped in turn. The cycle of kindness that David had started decades ago continued to ripple outward, touching lives in ways that could never be fully measured. Thank you, Maya said to David one more time, for seeing me when I felt invisible, for believing in me when I had stopped believing in myself, for showing me that one person really can change everything. David hugged her warmly. Thank you for proving me right, and for understanding what I've tried to teach, that the greatest wealth isn't what you have, but what you give away. You've taken that lesson and made it your own. Jasmine would have loved you. As the evening wound down and people began to leave, Maya stood with Marcus and David, watching the sun set over the Detroit skyline. The city that had once seemed like a trap now looked like a place full of possibility. She thought about all the families the foundation would help, all the lives that would be changed, all the hope that would be kindled. Mama, Marcus said, tugging her hand. When I grow up, I want to help people like you and Mr. David do. Maya knelt down to her son's level. You will, baby. You're already learning how. Every kind thing you do, every person you help, every time you choose compassion over judgment, you're changing the world. She looked up at David, who nodded with approval. The man who had changed her life with one act of kindness now felt like family. The stranger who had said, "Come with me," on a rainy night had become a mentor, a friend, a grandfather figure to her son. Maya stood, taking Marcus's hand and squeezing it gently. She had learned that hope wasn't something you found. It was something you created through action and perseverance. She had learned that asking for help wasn't weakness, but wisdom. She had learned that one moment of kindness could change everything. Most importantly, she had learned that she had always been strong enough, capable enough, worthy enough. She had just needed someone to remind her of that truth and give her a chance to prove it. As they walked to her car that evening, Maya made a silent promise to continue David's legacy of compassion. She would keep helping families, keep paying it forward, keep showing people that they were seen and valued and capable of amazing things. Because that rainy night 5 years ago, when a billionaire behind her in line had said, "Come with me," he hadn't just changed one life. He had started a movement of kindness that would continue to spread, touching hearts and transforming futures for generations to come. And Maya Johnson, the woman who once cried in the rain over medicine she couldn't afford, was now the woman lighting the way for others walking that same difficult path. She had become living proof that one moment of grace could transform everything, that hope was always possible, and that sometimes the greatest gift you could give someone was the simple act of believing in them when they had stopped believing in themselves. The weeks turned into months, and Maya threw herself into her studies with single-minded determination. She aced every test, completed every assignment with care and thoroughness. She asked questions in class, stayed late to review material, formed study groups with her classmates. She was hungry for knowledge, hungry for the chance to change her life. Her instructors noticed. James Chin pulled her aside after class one evening. "Maya, I've been teaching this program for 5 years, and I've never seen anyone work as hard as you do. Have you thought about what kind of position you want when you graduate?" "Honestly, I'll take whatever I can get," Maya said, "as long as it has benefits and pays better than what I'm making now." James smiled. "I think you can aim higher than that. There's a position opening up at Detroit Medical Center in their billing department. It's entry-level, but with room for advancement. They're looking for someone detail-oriented, hardworking, and trainable. I think you'd be perfect. Would you like me to recommend you?" Maya felt dizzy with possibility. Detroit Medical Center was one of the best hospital systems in the state. Working there would be a dream come true. "Yes, please. Absolutely yes." Maya wrapped her arms around her son and held him close, tears streaming down her face. "I know, baby. I know it does." Mrs. Patterson, who had been watching from the doorway, walked over and put a gentle hand on Maya's shoulder. "Everything okay, dear?" Maya nodded, unable to speak for a moment. Finally, she said, "Something amazing happened tonight, Mrs. Patterson. Something I still can't quite believe." After Mrs. Patterson left, Maya gave Marcus dinner, helped him with his homework, and got him ready for bed. She tucked him in, kissing his forehead and thanking God that he was breathing easily now, that he was safe and comfortable. Then she went to the kitchen and sat at the small table, pulling out the business card and the paper David had given her. She stared at them for a long time, thinking about everything that had happened. A stranger had seen her at her lowest point and had chosen to help her, expecting nothing in return. It went against everything she had learned about how the world worked. She picked up her phone and looked at the time. It was almost 9 o'clock, too late to call the employment program tonight. But tomorrow, she promised herself. Tomorrow she would make that call. She would accept the help she had been offered. Not because she was weak, but because she was strong enough to recognize an opportunity when she saw one. Maya thought about what David had said, about paying it forward, about helping someone else when she was able. It seemed impossible now, when she could barely keep her head above water. But she held on to that thought, tucked it away like a promise to her future self. That night, for the first time in months, Maya slept peacefully. Marcus was breathing easily in the next room, and the weight of panic that had been pressing on her chest for weeks was finally lifted. She dreamed of better days ahead, of possibilities she had stopped allowing herself to imagine.